Welcome to Learn and Love Music. I'm Duane Hulbert. This week I'm going to play a piece that is marvelous. It's a piece by Franz Liszt called La Campanella. It has a lot of technical challenges, so what I'd like to do today is to play through the piece but also to break it down a little bit and talk about the technique that one needs to have in order to play this piece. Before we get started, I want to encourage all of you to subscribe to our channel. We want to see you back again. So let's get started with La Campanella by Franz Liszt. I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to play some of the techniques in La Campanella. Number 1, right from the beginning we have a lot of jumps. The jumps have to be done between the first finger, the thumb, and the 5th finger. One of the things that I do when I play this opening, because it has large jumps, I make sure that the fingers don't decide where your notes are going to be played, the hand does. In other words, most of the motion I use, if you can see the keyboard, you'll see that the motion is across and it's not moving your fingers. Moving your fingers will cause problems when you get to play faster. So here's the beginning. So I have an octave, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th. And finally, the last one is a 2-octave jump. And this has to be done quite fast. One of the things that I found helpful is to keep the hand still and also move the whole hand across, almost like it's sort of fanning out, but that solid touch is what really makes this technique work for you. And of course, it helps to look at the notes. Although sometimes as a drill, I think of just seeing if I can do it without looking. So that's a little harder. But usually, when you're playing this piece, you have to take a peek at those notes to make sure you get them accurate. Tip number 2, how to play the 30-second notes that embellish the melody on the early part of the piece. It's actually on the 2nd page. These have to go by very, very quickly. They sort of snap. So it really has to be quick. So we have this happening. Once again, you have to get these notes fast. One of the problems I think with students is that I find that when they play fast notes, they automatically pull their hand back. But since you have to play the 4, 3, 2, 3, it's better to push forward because you can do the 2 B's instead of getting, you can't do that. So you really work on that. And then you have the jumps too. So let's put it all together, those fast 30-second notes. And tip number 3, how to play very fast repeated notes. This happens on the 2nd variation, and it's a similar technique to the other one, but we have to be able to move very, very fast. And one of the things that I do is when I line up my hand, I make sure that my thumb is lined up right next to the 2nd finger and 1st finger are together, so I can do that very quickly. Because if your fingers are moving around, once again, the hand moves it across. The other thing that I always watch for when I'm playing a passage like this, don't twist your hand sideways or one way or the other. You want to make sure that these 3 fingers, the middle fingers of the hand, always line up with the black key. So we don't want any twists and turns. The more twists and turns you do, the more apt you would be to miss the note. So once again, just moving the hand across very smoothly, just a nice smooth motion. And tip number 4, in the 4th variation, we want to make sure that you can play the melody, but on top you have a trill. But Liszt doesn't write a trill, he writes 30-second notes. So first thing I do is I never play 30-second notes with my 4 and 5. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm pretty weak on 4 and 5. But I have a pretty big hand, so actually I stretch the octave between 1 and 3. I suppose if you have a smaller hand, you'd have to use 4 and 5, but I use 3 and 5. I find it gives it a little bit more stability. So it's this, you play it kind of like a trill on the top for 30 seconds, and the thumb plays every 4 notes. And then eventually you work it out. And so the 5th finger gets quite a workout on this one, as you can tell. But make sure we keep things very still as much as possible. So we put it all together and we get this. The other thing I find is just a little bit of rotation, because if you get tired if you freeze your fingers there, and after a while you can't play them anymore. That nice little rotation with the elbow and flexibility in the hand helps too. And finally, tip 5. At the very end in the coda section, and actually he writes here animato, we want to make sure that you are able to play the octaves quickly and without too much effort. They're repeated notes, and so what happens is you have octave repeated notes. And all pianists know that you can't play octave repeated notes without using the wrist. The wrist has to be flexible at this joint here. So if I were to play it slowly, I go faster, but I still get the wrist going. So that when we play this theme, we don't play, we do this. I remember my teacher used to say, when you play this kind of technique, the worst thing you can do is to, when you get tired, to pull your hand under, fingers under. Keep those fingers up. You don't need these fingers when you're playing octaves, but it levels the hand a little bit better. So for speed, that works a lot better than with your fingers down. And of course, at the end of the piece, Liszt takes those octaves and moves them very fast in contrary motion. So it's this, but very light, very fast. Make sure you use your wrist. Thanks for watching Learn and Love Music this week. And now let's listen to an entire performance of La Campanella. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back next time.